Sometimes this gets overlooked in curriculum, that children need some time to move and stretch. We are seeing that people are putting yoga exercises into their classrooms to help children learn to, use small space in short time, but get a little bit of movement in. Okay, these three things are the base for children to develop physically. We move on to a little bit higher up the ladder here. After care and touch, what I have down here is kind words. Working with children. This would include encouragement and praise. Many of my children come in and they make a small mistake and they hit their head and call themselves stupid. It's very discouraging because I know that that's what they hear, terrible things that they hear about themselves from people at home or children at school, and they tend to integrate that into their thought about themselves. So I'm constantly trying to counter that with encouragement and praise, and children need it. I consider that one of their basic needs for success. The next thing that is on this list is creative play. When you think about, we're right next door to a daycare, and I'm hearing the children's voices, and I'm thinking about all the things that they can come up with, even as young children, to play with. It doesn't take much, it doesn't take a lot of money to play creatively. This is an empty boardroom, but I've had children sitting in empty rooms like this who have created whole worlds of play, just moving the chairs around and hiding under the tables, and it's something that children do naturally. It's very difficult to watch children who are sitting in front of a television all day long, or classroom teachers who put a movie on, because they are not allowed the time to use their brains to be creative. And it's something that they will do instinctively when they're by themselves. The next thing here is peers. Children need other children, and they search out and look for children in their age group. I live across the street from an elementary school, and I hear the children come out onto the playground at around noon, and it's this screaming and greeting and grouping that they do that's really fun to watch. And it's difficult now for children who can't find peers. So a lot of times children are in crisis because they're ostracized or kept out of peer groups. And they are really looking to find ways to belong to a group. So the need here is the need to belong. If they can't get it, they really do find difficulty right again it brings them right back again to meeting this basic need of safety, because children don't feel safe if they're ostracized from a group. And a lot of creative play initially may happen when you're in an individual situation, but children together come up with all sorts of creative play that gets into rules, social rules, and they learn a lot from each other, which is very interesting. We now have two more before we reach success, and I'm sure that there are a lot of things that we could put in here and tuck in, but these are the things that I think definitely are necessary for this framework to get to success. The next one I will call a safe, supportive learning environment. Now, this could be a school, and sometimes schools are safe and supportive, and there are times that children find them not to be safe and supportive in terms of peer interactions, or in terms of their interactions with teachers or principals or administrators, or in terms of lack of supervision. There are a lot of reasons that students would not find a school safe or supportive. The approach that adults use can either be supportive or non-supportive, depending on the situation for children, and what kind of a punishment model is used if they're in trouble, right? So, trying to create a safe, supportive learning environment is a difficult task. Children often find it outside of schools, where they find a trusted mentor, or a Boy Scout troop, or a church group, or some other, or even a neighborhood, where they are learning skills that interest them in a safe way. When children are not feeling safe, they don't learn. I think I left this out, but I use the example often of if you're sitting down at dinner and the family is eating and the fire alarm goes off, you don't say, okay kids, let's finish our dinner and take a nap and learn and do our homework before we leave the building. No, safety always comes first. So at any point in time here, if there is a safety need not being met, these things don't happen. The last one on here is challenges. Once you're in that safe, supportive learning environment, if people are giving you challenges that meet your abilities, then you are headed for success. Children do need these challenges so that they are asked to do things that are at that level. We have children in school classrooms with learning disabilities who get put down with younger children. And they're frustrated because they don't feel like they're being challenged enough. Sometimes they're given work at a first grade level and they're a fourth grade student. And they refuse to do it. Even though it may be at their learning level, they don't see the challenge in it. So they need to be given challenges that meet their social needs as well as their academic needs. And then hopefully that they need to be able to feel success to be able to build on to the next success. Okay, so children who do not feel the success and are given challenges that are perhaps too hard for them and don't feel the success end up feeling that failure and refuse to continue to try. All right? So when you look at these basic needs, I kind of group them here in this bottom three as physical development. The next three as kind of social development, social and emotional development. And the next three as academic. So I'll tell you, since I don't have an audience here today, I'll tell you what a lot of times the questions are when I reach this point. And when we look at this, it looks a little bit like an iceberg. And what you see is the tip floating up here. And I can draw a line right around here that says, wow, you know, all of this stuff underneath here needs to really be in place before a child gets to school. So when a child comes into school, and this is all you have to work with here, you provide them a safe, supportive learning environment, you provide them with challenges that are at their level, and you hope that they can be successful. When children struggle up in this area, it's generally because these needs down here are still not being met. And the question is, how do we meet these needs? We're not at home with these children. We can't go back and provide them with caring touch when they were babies, or kind words when they go home. And I guess my work with children, I've often called it kind of reparenting or kind of shoring up. And our job is to just try and head for providing the safety and the needs where we can to help them get to the point where they can be more successful in school. Bill's giving me the sign that I think I've used up my time, and I hope that this can be helpful. And I always have a lot more to say, but I hope this can be helpful for you. Thank you.
I can see we're going to get lots of discussion, Nancy, on this model that you presented, and I think it makes so much sense. It's also built on good research that you refer to periodically. I can't thank you enough for making this presentation, and I'm sure people are going to benefit from it, and especially the children.